Welcome to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing one of their past projects. We will let you decide if it was good or bad or just plain ugly. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the importance of a mission statement. A well-crafted mission statement aligns your investments with your core values and long-term goals. It defines your purpose, helping you make strategic decisions that resonate with your vision. By clarifying your intentions, a mission statement keeps you focused and prevents you from straying off course, especially in the face of market fluctuations or trends. Additionally, a mission statement enhances your credibility and attracts like-minded partners, clients, and tenants. It communicates your commitment to integrity and professionalism, fostering trust within the industry. For example, our mission statement at Jalific Homes is service you deserve, people you trust. It keeps us grounded with a focus on our clients and team members. So, as you adapt and grow, revisit your mission statement to ensure it evolves with you. Having a concise, powerful mission statement isn't just a formality. It's a dynamic tool that shapes your real estate journey and contributes to your lasting success. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us my badass friend, Michelle Moyer. Michelle and her husband, Eric, started their real estate company, Hooked Property Solutions, in 2019 in Jacksonville, Florida. Professionally, Michelle has carved out a niche in the real estate sector by building modular homes in Western North Carolina, selling some of them, and turning others into short-term vacation rentals. Michelle and Eric have continued building a portfolio that boasts over 30 rehabs, 18 land purchases, 6 new builds, 7 long-term and 4 short-term rentals, in addition to building a barndominium, which I get to hear about today. I'm thrilled to have her on the show, so welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen. Yay! I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm thrilled to have you. And I first got to ask, what the heck does Hooked Properties mean? Where did that come from? Because I could see the logo behind you and I'm getting an idea. So tell us.
Well, so my husband and I really like to fish, and I'm a better fisherman than he is, but that's kind of how the name Hooked Property Solutions came about. Maybe you can see the H in Hooked. It's got like a little hook. People sometimes think it's a J, but it's not. It's actually a fish hook. So I came up with the tagline, just one look and you'll be hooked kind of thing. So that's where Hooked Properties.
Is that your mission statement?
Kind of.
So like lake fishing or ocean fishing? What's your favorite?
Mine is ocean fishing, but we did a lot of ocean fishing. We did a lot of intercoastal waterway fishing. We lived in Jacksonville, so there was a lot of water to fish at there. And then we moved to Charleston, South Carolina, again, surrounded by water, a lot of good fishing there too.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I'm sure you know this, but Jacksonville, Florida is the largest city in the United States.
I do know that.
And this is why you take me to trivia night. I'm just saying, because it's like random shit in my head that I'm like, oh yes, Jacksonville, Florida, the largest city in the country. Anyway, we are not here to talk about Jacksonville, but we are here to talk about your badass portfolio that you have, that you are in the process of refinancing, which we are in the process of refinancing some stuff as well. And it is not easy. So I thought this was really, really important to talk about on the show today. But before we get into that, can we talk about the barndominium?
Yes.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
so excited about it.
I did not know what it was when you first told me. And by the way, we most recently hung out in Columbia, South Carolina at the Re-Up conference with our friends Noah Harris and Christy Duckett Harris. Bravo to them. Great conference that they put on, and it was awesome. But you and I, like, Michelle, my girl. So we sat together and you were talking about a barndominium. I'm like, do you mean condominium? So set us straight. What exactly is a barndominium?
So, and you're not the only one who asked this question. As a matter of fact, on my social media, I have just done a clip about what is a barndominium because so many people ask me that question. And it's really, most people build a house that looks like a barn. It's very popular these days. Ours is actually going to be a working barndominium. So we have stalls on the lower level and we have living quarters on the top level. So we're going to live there a year or two until we build our dream home that we'll move into. And then we'll rent that out as an Airbnb for either equestrian travelers or people that just want to come and experience what it's like to live in a barndominium, a true working barndominium. So we have 5 stalls at the bottom with a tack room and a wash bay. And it's a 36 by 48 structure, and it's got 2 lean-tos on either side. So it looks like a traditional barn. But then on the upper level, we have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, an office, and then we have a 12 by 32 foot deck. So it overlooks the mountains and it's got the best view ever. And I'm so excited.
That is awesome. And you have 2 horses currently?
Currently, we have 2 horses and a mule. We have Denmark and Dexter, and then we have Naughty Nelson, our mule.
And you have a bunch of barn cats. I want to hear about these barn cats.
We do. Currently we have 5 barn cats, and my husband built them their own cat dominium, if you will, structure. So they've got like a little indoor area and an outdoor area. We store some of our hay. They really love hay and, in the loft and stuff like that, laying there during the day and at nighttime. So they go into the structure during the day usually, and then they're out in the area that my husband built. It's I think an 8 by 20 foot, outdoor area for them to play in. And once the barndominium is done, then we'll move them all over there and then they can have free run of wherever. But with all the construction going on, we just kind of wanted to contain them and make sure that they were safe.
Well, I love all that. I'm a big animal lover as well. And you're getting an Australian Shepherd? Is that what I saw?
Yes. So as soon as we move into the barndominium, which is probably in the next 2 months, we'll end up getting an Australian Shepherd. We may end up adding another horse to our flock, and then we'll be getting some chickens. And I think we're building my father-in-law's house too on the same property. So he had been talking about getting a goat. So we may get Stan a goat.
Can you get the fainting kind? Those are my favorite.
I like the ones that yell at you. They're like.
So we have a mini Aussie mix, and he is definitely a city dog. He wouldn't know what to do around a horse, but I love that. So we could talk about animals all day long. Girl after my own heart. But we are going to talk about a 4-property portfolio loan that, first of all, tell us how you found this property. Like, give us estimated numbers, all that stuff. Was it already 4 together?
Yeah. So what happened was we had a cold caller calling. We had, pulling lists and stuff like that. So we had some properties that our cold caller was calling on, and the guy who answered the phone said that he was interested in selling it. And it actually was for a different address than what he ended up. He ended up showing us that too, but he was a guy, he owned, 20 to 30 rental properties. He'd been in the game for about 25, 30 years, something like that. So he was starting to sell off some of his rental properties and was interested in selling his rental properties. So he took us over to the address that we actually called on, and he's like, hey, I own like 6 units in this building. He goes, but I don't know if I really want to sell these. Let me show you the ones that I'm really thinking about selling. And we were like, okay. So he had 4 in this complex, and it's in North Charleston. It's close to the airport, very convenient. They were already rented out. And he was one of those guys that depended on a management company who did not do what they were really supposed to do and raise the rents on time. So they were under rented at the time. So we negotiated with him a little bit. He wanted $450,000 for the 4 properties. We negotiated him down to $425,000 and knew that we were still getting a really great deal.
Of course, yes.
Those units appraised for $515,000. We did not tell him that. We closed on the $425,000, but I'm sure you're going to ask me this, so tell me to stop if you want me to stop. But we ended up getting a loan for these from a hard money lender. I think it was Park Place Finances who we financed them through.
I don't know them. Do you like working with them?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Okay.
I found another one who's more competitive. So if you're interested in getting some long-term loans and not going through a traditional bank, I have a couple of lenders that I'm happy to, pass off to you.
Good to know.
The one that we're dealing with right now seems to be going very well. But at the time, they would give us 80% of the value, which was awesome. And we got this guy to come in with more than 20%. So we ended up getting cash back at the end. We ended up getting $12,000 back in our hands at the end. So
just on the purchase.
Yeah, he decided that he was going to come in and do some seller financing and be on, a second position. He's totally fine with that. And so we ended up walking away at closing with $12,000.
Oh my
so
goodness.
We bought 4 properties that were cash flowing at the time. And, we ended up, it took us a little bit of time, but we ended up raising the rents. And so we're really cash flowing on the properties right now. At the time, we got it for 4.25%. So that was a really great interest rate at the time. Yeah, I know. This was in 2021. So this was 2 years ago. So now so one of them we had a tenant move out of. We turned that into a short-term rental. Because of the location that it's in, we did a rehab on it. We spent somewhere between $45,000 and $48,000 on the rehab itself. It looks really great. We got a property manager who does short-term rentals, a friend of ours who's another investor that we met in another investors group. And he's managing it, and we stay between 95 to 100% booked every single month.
Goodness.
So that one unit pays for our mortgage plus for all 4 units. So we cash flow quite a bit of money on that 4 property portfolio.
That is awesome. So are they all like in the same area? Are they in single family homes?
They're all in the same complex. So we own one. So there's 3 townhouses to each building.
Okay.
We own one building. So we own all 3 units in one building, and then we own 1 unit in another building.
Got it.
Yeah.
So when you bought all 4 of them, they were occupied at the time, and then one moved out, and then that's when you did the rehab. Do the other 3 need any rehab?
They do. Currently. And we've been doing little upgrades here and there to them. Like we put on new roofs. We added a new AC to one of them. We've done little things here and there. But we're waiting for another one to move out because we'll end up rehabbing that one as well and then bring it up to. So right now we're still a little bit under market value, but we don't want to. I mean, from the time that we bought them to now, we've raised the rent $600.
Okay.
So $600 a month in 2 years. That's quite a bit for someone to, absorb. So we're very conscious about that as well, but we're still under market value for our rents. So as soon as we have another one move out, we'll decide whether we turn it into a short-term rental or if we turn it into a long-term rental.
Got it. Yeah. So it's currently financed with a hard money lender and someone in second position, the seller in second position.
Yes.
So currently you are now trying to get it out of that hard money loan and into a longer term loan in your business name, correct?
Well, it was still in a 30-year mortgage.
Oh.
Hard money lender, and it's in our business name. So that wasn't the problem. The problem is that it's more than doubled and it's more than doubled in appreciation. So right now, those properties are worth 800 and like
in 2 years. Holy cow.
Yeah, 800. Where do I have you? It's like $823,000. That's what they're worth.
So what is the purpose of refinancing?
So that we could get cash out. So in 2 years, so this is the best part. So in 2 years, our total cash out with everything else paid will be $181,000.
Oh my goodness.
When we cash out. And we're still going to be cash flowing $1,400 a month.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so I was just at the dentist the other day, yay, getting a teeth cleaning. And my dentist is like, so what do you got going on? I'm like, yeah, well, I'm still looking at buying properties. And he's like, even with this interest rate? I'm like, even with this interest rate, because when you are buying rentals at this high interest rate, in a couple years, when the interest rate drops, that's just going to be more money in my pocket down the road. And this one's already cash flowing for you. So it absolutely makes sense. What are you going to do with that $181,000?
Well, that 181 is actually turning into more than that, because the guy that's in the second lien position wants to continue to stay, because we had him for 5 years. So we've only had him, we've only owned these properties for 2 years. So he wants to continue for those 3 years. So we get an extra $72,000 out of this. So it's not necessarily 181,000. It's 181,000 plus 72,000.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can't do math that fast.
171 plus 82, 253,000.
Damn, girl.
Yeah. So, and it's at 5% interest. For his second position.
Oh, gotcha.
So the long-term rentals we are going to have for 8.25%, and the short-term rental is 7.85%. So it's more than what we're paying now in interest, but in the grand scheme of things, if you're still cash flowing, it doesn't matter what the interest rate is.
Exactly.
It honestly doesn't matter, because you're taking all of the depreciation from those units and applying them to whatever your active income is anyway in your active income business. So there's no downside to it.
Oh my goodness. So What are the issues with refinancing? What are you running into with that?
Well, we didn't really run into anything with them. We got them to agree to 1.25% origination.
Okay.
We got them to agree to only charge us for 2 processing fees. And we got them to agree to allow us to use an appraiser that we've used in the past.
Oh.
So, there hasn't really been a downside yet. I don't know if the other shoe is about to drop, but we're supposed to close on September 5th. So I hope not.
Well, excellent. And what advice do you have for listeners on how they can recreate something like this?
Really just shop it around. I shopped it around to 5 different lenders. I've used all 5 lenders before in the past for different things. And I said, and I was very transparent. I'm like, I'm not trying to waste anybody's time. I'm letting you know, this is the deal that I got. I took it to one person, and then I ended up taking it to the next person and the next person and the next person. And these guys came up with the best deal that they could possibly give me. So my recommendation is, don't always take the very first person that says, I can do this or whatever, and go with someone else who's already used them before. Find out who someone else has used and had a great experience with. And that's what I did. I put it out to one of my real estate networks in Charleston, and a guy that I'm really good friends with, an investor there that I'm really good friends with, said, hey, try this guy out. They were able to do my short-term rentals. And that's the other thing. I have a short-term rental in the portfolio. So not every lender does short-term rentals.
Right.
And I needed someone who would appraise that short-term rental on AirDNA projections. So I do have 12 months of it being a short-term rental, so I know how much money I actually make from that.
Right.
But I needed them to actually use the data that I have from Airbnb and the data from AirDNA in order to come up with the the amount of money that we were going to be able to cash out and refi.
Got it. And forgive me, I'm like, my throat is so scratchy today.
That's okay. Me too.
I'm like, what is going on? So we too have a portfolio that has 2 long-term and 1 short-term in it. And it was our bank, same type of situation, did some very creative financing. The short-term rental is a tiny home, by the way. It's only 486 square feet. And so that was issue number 1. We couldn't just refinance that one because a lot of banks won't finance anything under 700 or 750 square feet. So our bank worked with us. They said, do you have any other rentals that you're going to be purchasing? And so we ended up buying 2 more and just did it in a portfolio loan. And just like you, our little cabin pays the mortgage for all 3 properties, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing a couple things here. So you're living in North Carolina at the time that you're doing this refinancing in Charleston. So are you using I mean, I know the answer is Charleston, but would you be able to use one in North Carolina to refinance it, or does it have to be local to the area?
No, you can use a lender as long as the lender can lend in the area that your property exists, then there's no issue at all with wherever. And I'm not opposed to using a lender that's out of state. The original lender for those 4 properties is in Texas.
Oh, okay.
The lender that's doing the portfolio loan now, the broker is out of Charleston. So I don't know if they have like a branch in Charleston. I didn't even ask like where their company actually exists. It doesn't matter. As long as they can do loans in that state, then you're fine. Good. It's not like going to a normal mortgage broker that is only licensed in certain states. Generally, if you're using hard money, they're licensed in almost all the states.
And so this hard money lender did a 30-year loan for you.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Yep. So we did the opposite. We had it with different lenders here and there. And when we refinanced, we did it together. But I want to get back to the part where you're talking about the 12 months of rental. Banks call it seasoning. Yes. For the Airbnb. And then I'm sure you had to show the same thing for the other 3 units. But is that, as people are approaching a situation like this where they want to put things together and do a portfolio loan and refinance it out of another one, they do have to have a seasoning period for many, many banks. But there are some who will say, show me a lease and we'll refinance tomorrow. But did you run into any situations like that where they wanted something longer, something didn't need to be as long? What was that all about?
Yeah. So the lenders that I work with on the Airbnbs, you don't even have to have 12 months of seasoning because they go on AirDNA projections. So I have a brand new one that we just started, that we just listed on Airbnb 2 weeks ago. So I have no data at all. And these guys are going to refinance that one for me too. Nice. Because I have private money lender who gave me the money to actually build it and then do all the stuff. And so now I've got to, refinance him out. I'm not into paying 11%, for a long-term thing. So I'd like to refi him out. And so I'll be refining him out at a 30-year AM for 7.85% with AirDNA projections because I don't already have the data myself. The one in Charleston, I have 12 months of data.
Got it.
And so my monthly average for that particular unit is $3,100 a month. That's what I averaged over the 12 months. So they go by, what I've given them, and they can look at my bank records. They haven't asked me for them yet. I'm sure they will ask me for the last 3 months, but I can give them the last 12 months of bank records for that one. And they can see, it has the payout from VRBO or the payout from Airbnb. So they can track how much money, that one unit has been bringing in. But as far as the rentals, when you're using a lender like this, and I call them a secondary market lender because that's really what they are. As long as you have a lease in place, they don't care how long the person's been there.
Interesting.
They don't care that there's a seasoning period or not. You just have to have a lease in place if it's a long-term rental. And if you don't, they may just adjust either the percentage, the interest rate, or they adjust the loan to value, the loan to value, how much they're going to give you. So with the short-term rental, I'm getting 70%. With the long-term rentals, I'm getting 75%.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So let's talk about Charleston for a little minute.
Sure.
For a hot minute. I have heard that Charleston is trying to outlaw short-term rentals.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's stuff in the news. I've stayed at a short-term rental in Charleston, which is lovely, by the way. But what happens if you can no longer short-term rent that one unit?
I don't know. Do you tell people that you have a short-term rental, or do you just do a short-term rental and not register it? I don't know.
So
I would imagine people that don't register their short-term rentals with the county or the city or whatever will not get in trouble, because unless somebody finds out that it is a short-term rental. But, Charleston's a big, I think if you're on Isle of Palms, so let me backtrack a little bit. If you're on Isle of Palms, or if you're down, on the beach somewhere, you have neighbors, you have nosy neighbors. They know that there are different cars there all the time.
Right.
You're in North Charleston and the area that we're in, these people don't care.
Got it. Well, so it's North Charleston. So I've heard North Charleston is fine for right now, but there's a lot going on in Charleston. And I mean, the reason why I asked this, and, for the listeners out there, yes, cross your fingers, pray to God that you don't get busted, because people everywhere short-term rent and then don't report it to the county and then never get in trouble. But it could come down to at some point. And so do you have a backup plan if that was ever the situation?
Yeah, we could turn it into a long-term rental.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. That's where I was going with it. And so the listeners out there, if you're looking at properties, make sure that if Airbnb goes away, short-term rentals go away, you could still make your money with it being a long-term rental. That's how I have all my students evaluate it to make sure that it's still going to cash flow. So very good. Thank you for answering that. Yeah. That was a little lob to you.
That's okay. No worries.
Well, this is awesome. And thank you for sharing all that. And it is, because a lot of my listeners are still in the chase and chasing down properties and getting stuff under contract. They're maybe doing 1 or 2 rehabs right now. I have listeners that do hundreds a year, or 100 a year. But there's this whole other side of what to do with it after the fact, and refinancing out of your original loan. For you, it's simply to get a cash out refi, but for others, it's to pay off your private money lender, because that's more of a short-term loan, or a hard money lender as a short-term loan, and then to move it out of their,
So like a BRRRR situation.
A BRRRR, exactly. Yeah. And you can do that in a portfolio loan. So this has been awesome talking about it. I do want to talk really quickly about your modular homes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So I love modular homes. I'm actually...
What's the name of the company that you're creating?
So we're creating a company called Mods by Moyer.
Love
and
it.
That is kind of like a consulting company. So Eric is getting his GC license. So he'll be licensed.
Yay, Eric.
Yeah, your husband talked him into doing it. He actually signed up for the same course and he got all of his books. I think they were coming today or whatever. Yeah. So
tell him to reach out to Vance.
That was on his KPIs. I was like, you don't get a raise if you don't complete this. So you better complete it. Teresa's laughing in the background because she knows it's true.
And one more nugget for you for the construction business.
Yeah.
You need to be 51% owner, and he should be 49%, because if it's a woman-owned construction business, you can get like these government bids and win all this stuff, and it propels you a lot quicker. So that's a great nugget for you and the listeners.
Alrighty.
You want to own a little bit more than he does, just so that you can claim it as a woman-owned business. So anyway, so he's getting his GC license, and then
he is. We don't need a GC license in the state of North Carolina. You do not need a GC license to build modular homes, which is how I even got started doing it. And it was a friend of mine who's an investor who actually lives 20 minutes away from where we live right now, who said, Michelle, you should be building modulars up here. Just find yourself a piece of land and plop a modular on it. I'll introduce you to people. So he did. And he gave me the blueprint, the like 10,000 feet, view
overview. Yes.
Right. So I learned a lot of stuff over the first 3 that I did. So when we hired on Teresa as our office manager / Girl Friday,
Go Nights.
She decided that she was going to, write out our SOPs and also create kind of like, this is your checklist and this is how it's done. So we've gone from how you find the land, what you look for, all of the things, to how do you sell it, or do you refinance it and turn it into a short-term rental or a long-term rental or whatever. So we've written this whole thing out. So we created Mods by Moyer so that I could then consult with other people. So whether it's people that want to build their own modular home and live in it, or people that want to build modular homes as investments, because I have companies that can do, multifamily modulars. So townhouse style modulars, and I have single family, and I have a company that can just pretty much do whatever kind of floor plan that you want to. So depending on, what someone's aspirations are, if you will, I can lead them in the right direction, and I can actually, consult with them and show them how it's done. So I have a couple of different levels to do that. So we created Mods by Moyer so that we would be able to have an additional income stream.
Well, I need to get you back on the show to talk about all that, because you showed me pictures of some of your modular homes, because I have something in my brain of what it's supposed to look like. And I'm like, wait, this does not look like a modular home. Yeah. And they are gorgeous. And so we're going to have to get you back on the show just to talk about all of that, because it was amazing. And what's the difference between a regular home, like a site-built home, and a modular home?
The only difference is that a modular home is built inside of a controlled environment, and it comes in two halves. And so basically you build the foundation exactly the same as you would build a stick-built house. You don't do slabs. You have to do crawl spaces, or you put them over garages, however you want to do that.
Interesting.
But they come in two halves, and they're placed on the foundation. And then the marriage walls are kind of, sewn together, if you will, by people. They're called set crews. So they actually put everything together, raise the roofs on it, and then you have your people come and do all of your siding and your roofing and stuff like that. So,
well,
yeah.
Good for you. And they're affordable homes, which there's such a need for affordable homes, but they don't look like, a mobile home park that you would think of. So,
you could do a not so affordable home too. Like you could literally do a $600,000 modular home. It doesn't have to be like an affordable one, but my niche in getting involved in this was, hey, how can I build a home? And we thought that we were going to sell it sub 300,000. We thought they were going to go for 285. I ended up selling the first one for 350, and the second one for 345, and the third one for like 325. They had different floor plans and different
finishes.
No, they had really nice finishes in them, but they had different square footage.
Okay.
The same ones that I did a year and a half ago, I just closed on one of them. I sold for $370,000. Another one we're closing on the 23rd for $365,000. So these homes that I thought were going to be like the sub 300 are, appraising for way more than that and selling for way more than that in the market that I'm in right now.
Well, Michelle, that is awesome. And please promise to come back on the show, because I do want to hear more about that. That is amazing. But for today's sake, we are going to jump into the second part of the podcast where we find out what makes Michelle Moyer a badass, which you are. And we are going to use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for books. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
So I showed this to you before the show. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it is Traction. And I highly recommend this to anyone who is trying to build their business and really hone their skills and figure out what you are really good at, what other people on your team are really good at, and make sure that they're doing those jobs.
Absolutely.
And then filling in the holes from there. It was a huge eye opener. We did this a year and a half ago at our yearly meeting, and we had this big whiteboard, and we took sticky notes in different colors, and me, Teresa, and my husband, because I was doing a lot of jobs I didn't want to do. Eric was doing a lot of jobs that he didn't want to do, and Teresa was just doing jobs that we wanted her to do. So we ended up, figuring it out and putting these sticky notes in everybody else's, column who either wanted to, or they were really good at it or whatever. And it changed everything overnight. It took a lot of stress off of me, took a lot of stress off of my husband. It put a lot of stress on Teresa, but she can handle it. She's so good though. She does a lot of stuff. She helped her husband build, 7 multi-million-dollar companies. So,
oh my goodness.
She's very good at what she does, which is why I hired her. I was like, please come and work with me.
That is awesome. And so that's Traction. By the way, it's by Gino Wickman. So yep. Check him out. That is a great book. I heard there's another Gino Wickman book that someone else brought up, and I was like, I don't know that one. So I know I have to figure out what that is. All right. The first A in Badass is for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, goodness. That I've received or that I can give?
That you've received.
Know your numbers. Know your numbers.
And know the hidden numbers.
Yeah, do not. Well, sometimes you don't know what you don't know when you open up a wall, which is why I like to build them instead of rehab them. But we do that too. But, knowing your numbers and sticking to the numbers, and do not get attached. Do not get attached. Do not get attached. It's all about the numbers. It's not about, I really want to do this. Oh, I really want. No, those are the ones that are going to take you down the tube. So don't do it. Just
such good advice there. Excellent. Excellent. All right. The D in Badass stands for drive. What drives you to be successful?
I was born that way.
Really?
I was born with just a drive where, I don't have anybody, and I try not to have anybody in my life that is a Debbie Downer or that talks negative or any of that stuff. I am a very positive and forward thinking person. There's not a situation that I've gotten myself into that I couldn't get myself out of, no matter what it was. Like I've always been able to succeed. And I just feel like, I don't know what actually drives me to be that way, except for I was born like that. Like
nice.
My mom's like that too. So she's also been the same way. So I just think and I don't know. I mean, I guess I am successful, but I don't look at it like that. Like I just look at it. It's things are challenges.
Yes.
And I love challenges, and I like, getting past the challenge or up to the top of the challenge and seeing, over the end of it and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. So I just love challenges.
Well, in the short time that I've known you, a little over a year, about a year, probably or more than a year. We first met in Nashville. Just what you have done in that short time, and you just started this in 2019. I mean, it is mind blowing what you've done. What did you study in college? I know you went to a small college in North Carolina, but what was your focus? Well,
in the very beginning, I focused on business.
Okay.
But then when I moved to California, I was in a lot of sales positions and things like that, and I was a meeting planner. And when 2008 happened, a lot of the big, I worked for pharmaceutical industries and planned their meetings and stuff like that. And so that took a dive, went down the tubes. There was probably 140 people that were laid off from the company that I was working at. And so I ended up going and getting a culinary degree. So I'm actually, I'm a chef. I went to the Cordon Bleu, and I started doing food TV shows. So I produced food TV shows. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow. The things I learn about you. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to come out and visit you so you can cook for me. The only thing I can make is reservations. All right. The second A in Badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what's a goal you are currently working on?
Yeah, trying to get our first multifamily under contract. So we had a goal of 200 doors this year. Who knows if we're going to actually make it or not, but one of those things is actually trying to get a multifamily deal under our belt. And once you do one, they just keep coming. It's kind of like doing houses. We did one and we had the whole what is it called? Analysis paralysis. We had that going on until we got our first one. Then the first one turned into 2, turned into 3, turned into 10, turned into 50. Like it just snowballed from there. So I truly believe that, especially being in the group that, one of the groups that I'm in right now. Like, I truly believe that it's going to happen by the end of the year. We'll have our first multifamily under contract.
Good for you. And any type of number of doors that you're looking for your first purchase?
So, I'm not discriminatory. I'd like to have at least 50, because then you can have property management pretty easily come in. Anything under 50 is a little bit, more difficult. So I'd say 50 and above. Anybody listening, we're looking for class B or C properties in class A or B neighborhoods that need add value. So that's kind of what we're looking for.
Very nice. And we could give a shout out to Tim Bratz. We met in his program called Legacy, his mastermind, which is an outstanding program and helped us get our first multifamily. It's just a 12 unit, but like you said, it's working with people who are selling multifamily, like there's zero emotion. It's about numbers. Like you said, know your numbers. And it is heavenly working with them and then having other people do all the work. I love it. So I do not doubt that you will get those doors very, very soon, even before the end of the year. I feel it for you. Actually, we talked about this in Columbia, so I do remember this. All right, moving on. I could talk to you all day.
We were sitting in an ohm.
All right. The first S in badass is systems. What systems do you have in place besides Teresa that help you achieve success?
She's laughing. She's like, there's no
Teresa. I want a Teresa.
Everybody wants a Teresa. So we are fortune builders. So we started with fortune builders. Fortune builders, I have to shout out to them. They have
that's where we got our start. Absolutely, 1,000% agree.
Yep. So we implemented their systems. We're not trying to recreate the wheel or anything like that. We just took their systems and we plugged them into the actual areas that we were working in. So Jacksonville, Charleston, North Carolina. And that's the systems that we have. I mean, we have a CRM. We have people doing our social media for us. We have people who built our website for us and who update our website and stuff like that. So those little systems, definitely help keep the train running, but all of our foundational stuff came from fortune builders. So we just implemented what they gave us, and those are our systems.
Well, I agree, because that program is fantastic.
Yes.
Get it? Than Merrill is the one who created that program. So fantastic. Yes. Oh, and he's really tough to look at too. All right. To wrap this up. To wrap this up, the final S in badass is success. What does success mean to Michelle Moyer?
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, when I think about success, I think about being able to go sit out on my 12 by 30 foot deck.
That was the vision in my head. It's crazy you just said that.
Drinking a cocktail and looking at my horses in the pasture, my horses and my mule in the pasture. Like that to me is like, once that has happened and is in place, like that is success. I don't know what's going to happen after that. Then I'll be like, oh, there's got to be more. There's got to be this. But for right now, like that's kind of, that's what I feel in my heart that I would like to accomplish. And so, yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to travel out there so I can sit on that deck with you, because
we'll have cocktails.
I am all about that. And Michelle, it has been, cheers. Let's click. Boom. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and I love your drive and everything. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Jen. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.